Healing in Dungeons and Dragons. There isn't really a healing role in D&D. I know the cleric is right there, but have you ever played a cleric? These things are brutal war machines, casting things like spirit guardians and waltzing through enemy combatants. Oftentimes the healing you're doing is a bonus action healing word to get your down character back in the fight, while they deal 3d8 to 4 enemies and still have an action to spare for Toll the Dead on another. After all, what better healing is there than removing an enemy combatant or two from the field? Hello everyone, I'm Tony, your 62-bit hero, and this video is a continuation of a series. If you'd like to know more about what the series is and how the ratings work, feel free to check out the first video on the grappling hook. Today, we're talking healer's kits. Now, the healer's kit can be used by anyone, any class, but how effective is it while you're actually playing the game? Is it worth buying? And is it only worth it if you take the healer origin feat? Let's take a look. Costs 5 gold, weighs 3 pounds. That's great. A healer's kit has 10 uses. As a utilize action, you can expend one of its uses to stabilize an unconscious creature that has 0 hit points without needing to make a wisdom medicine check. Very simple and straightforward. But real quick, we're going to go over some contextual rules. What does it mean to stabilize an unconscious creature? You can take the help action to try to stabilize a creature with 0 hit points, which requires a successful DC 10 wisdom medicine check. A stable creature doesn't make death saving throws, even though it has 0 hit points, but it still has the unconscious condition. If a creature takes damage, it stops being stable and starts making death saving throws again. Before we move on, one more thing. We're also going to take a look at the healer origin feat, since it specifically buffs the healer's kit. You can get this feat from the Hermit background in the PHB, Dead Magic Dweller background in the Heroes of Faerun book, or a custom background or other things I probably don't know about or aren't out yet. Talk to your DM. The healer feat, you gain the following benefits. Battle Medic. If you have a healer's kit, you can expend one use of it to tend to a creature within 5 feet of yourself as a utilize action. That creature can expend one of its hit point dice, and then you roll that die. The creature regains a number of hit points equal to the roll plus your proficiency bonus. You also get healing rerolls. Whenever you roll a die to determine the number of hit points you restore with a spell, or with this feat's Battle Medic benefit, you can re-roll the die if it's a 1, and you must use the new roll. I think we can all agree that gaining hit points is much better than stabilizing. Spare the dying at 5 silver a cast, and you can do it in an anti-magic field where you can't use a potion. That's pretty good. Spoilers, but that's already worth having on your character sheet. It's so cheap for what it does. For starters, let's say you didn't take the healer origin feat. Stabilizing is definitely not as good as healing, not even close. But in actually playing the game, removing the stress of death saving throws is very valuable still, especially since you don't need to roll a medicine check. Failing that help action medicine check on someone doing death saves is brutal. I can't be the only one who's had a combat end with a player down and we have no heals left and we're all frantically rolling our medicine checks in a row, hoping to bring them back as we wait with bated breath on their turn after we've all failed, and they still have to roll that final death save. It's very high drama. But the healer's kit will make it so your actual real life friend doesn't have to watch the DM tear up their character sheet and kick them out of their house. Maybe that last part wasn't D&D related. This won't actually bring an ally back up to take actions on their turn. Sometimes mid-combat, folks will try to ride that razor's edge and let their companions make death saves to try to eliminate the threat. After all, what good is it to stabilize an ally if you're likely to go down in the next turn anyway? In cases where that's likely, your action needs to be used to deal some damage or otherwise eliminate the threat if possible. But there are circumstances where you just need to know that important PC or NPC is safe. Stable doesn't protect from failed death saves on damage. If they take damage at 0, they still suffer a death saving throw failure. 2 fails if they're within 5 feet or it's a crit. This is a solid, we don't have any other options option. You're never going to use this in a combat while your bard is giving you that don't worry about it, I have healing word look, but you'll be glad you have it if you need it. Also, we haven't talked about this in one of these videos yet, but guess who can use the utilize action? Familiars. Yeah, we're going to be making a whole video on that, including some special stuff you can do with these items we've been talking about as a warlock in particular. I know that it's popular to say that the skeleton, for example, is a great familiar because it has opposable thumbs. The healer's kit just requires a utilize action without a medicine check. Familiars can do the utilize action. A familiar can't attack, but it can take other actions as normal. Your DM can rule this however they want, and I know they're already out there stretching their imagination to make the help actions work, but there ain't nothing in the rules that says a dog can't play basketball.
He's right. Ain't no rules that the dog can't play basketball.
Now let's say that you do have the healer feat. What are you going to waste your feat without having the healer's kit? It's fantastic. Actual real healing for anyone. Now, instead of spare the dying, it's bringing a party member back into the fight during combat. That's amazing. Your Barbarian just brought the Cleric back up. It's their turn and they're about to use mass healing word to get the rest of your party back up. Yes. Plus, all your healing is a little better with the rerolled ones. If you're a class that does some healing, the feat obviously has more value and it'll save you spell slots using the healer's kit, but we're not here to optimize a feat for your spellcaster. One other small point of consideration is that this allows your party to heal themselves between battles without the use of spell slots or other more powerful limited resources when you don't have time for a short rest. You want to keep going? All right, let's get 3 uses of the healer's kit to the fighter and the rogue, and then we just continue on in the dungeon. Remember, that's with the healer's feat. Now consider all of that with the feat or not with the feat. Thief, rogues, fast hands. They can do this as a bonus action. Bonus action, spare the dying at 5 silver cast. Now you got yourself a deal. With the healer feat, getting a party member back into the action and being able to sneak attack on the same turn. That's good stuff right there. It's Ziggy time, and we're going back to that cave. I know, we've been there twice already. You know the deal. We're protecting an important chieftain of a secret village in the dark. We've got nets and manacles and lanterns and alchemist fire, but we also have a healer's kit. Consider this combat proof that having all these items actually does give you a lot of good options. The chieftain we were protecting went down during this fight. Getting orders from the boss Zealot, currently in a net and manacles, the archers briefly ignore us at a moment during the fight. They take a couple attacks on the chieftain themselves, and they went down quick. This whole fight was about this chieftain. We either save them, or we have a completely different campaign. I don't even know what would have happened. Ziggy, with all his options, is throwing out nets, making fire in the cave, and doing all sorts of stuff. But once the chieftain goes down, that's the priority. He rushes over, uses the healer's kit without the healer feat, and stabilizes them. This is where we go on the offense and can no longer be ignored. We've officially dealt too much damage to them to exclusively attack the chieftain and survive. Without the healer's kit, I genuinely think we would have had to surrender in this combat, or we would have lost the chieftain. It would have changed literally the entire campaign from this point forward. The healer's kit may not come up in every session, but it is a game changer of an emergency ripcord when you need it. This is an interesting one to rate in that I really just think you should have it on you, but it isn't making plays every day. For Thief Rogue, this is a no-brainer. I say 4 stars, 5 if you have the feat. A bonus action for all this is just too valuable. For anyone else, 3 stars, 4 if you have the feat. Listen, they're just too cheap. You do not need the healer's feat for this to come up, and it's so inexpensive for its value. 5 gold total. That's 5 silver a pop. Compare this to the alchemist fire in terms of value. Even in games where you do a ton of money management and keep yourself super poor, it is likely that at some point you will have 5 gold. Get it on your character sheet. You do not have to be the healer to protect your party from dying. In fact, one of the best ways you can protect your party from dying is to kill all the enemies, but that's not what we're talking about today. The healer's kit lets you protect your party in a more literal way. I will admit my Airbud defense for familiars using the healer's kit may not fly with a lot of DMs and is more than a little bit cheeky, but you'll get more thoughts on that in the video I make about familiars and their utilize action, especially packed with chain warlocks. Friends, I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you made it this far, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment about what unlikely familiar is slathering you with medicine to stabilize you in combat. Do good, be good. Bye-bye.